to the graphic nature of this program, listener discretion is advised.
Warning. The Federal Communications Commission has determined the following content to be emotionally harmful. Young children should not view this content under any circumstances, even if supervised by a parent or guardian. The views and opinions expressed, including the depictions of persons of color and members of the LGBTQA+ community, do not reflect any official policy or position of the U.S. government. This program contains graphic language, violence, nudity, misogyny, racism, anti-Semitism, hate crimes, and depictions of sexual assault. Be advised.
Why are all these people here? There's too many people on this earth. We need a new plague. Who are all these people?
Dude, I am so pro swine flu, it's like ridiculous. I want it. We need a plague. I'm telling you, we need a plague. It's gotta happen, and don't be afraid. It's only gonna kill the weak. You know? Seriously, put on a sweater, take some vitamins. You're gonna be fine. You gotta let Mother Nature do her thing, man. She keeps trying to help us out, and we won't let her do it. Keeps trying to thin the herd every single time. We're like, oh, go down and get your vaccination. Why? So Egg McMuffin lady can breed with the back fat guy, you know? It's gotta happen. You gotta let it do it. Seriously, plague, it's like nature's forest fire, you know? Just let it burn out all the dead wood.
Your podcast will fail.
Yeah, it's just a coincidence that you were talking about the Jack and Triumph show and I'm here. Thank you so much for having me on your podcast.
Hey man, this is Kevin Smith, guy who makes all those unlistenable podcasts over at smodcast.com, and you're listening to the Two Strangers, One Podcast. This is podcasting.
You're listening to Two Strangers, One Podcast. Subscribe to us on iTunes or on the Stitcher app for Android devices. Please visit twostrangersonepodcast.net. Now, here's Chris Cologne and Paul Pasquillo.
Well, hello, and welcome to Two Strangers, One Podcast. I'm Chris.
I'm Paul.
And we said we knew the apocalypse was coming, Paul. We predicted it. As soon as Trump was elected fucking president, we knew that it was coming. And we won't get deep into politics. I've got a lot of feedback from people outside of the show. Unfortunately, this episode we do not have any Oscar letter. I'm really surprised Oscar hasn't sent the letter.
Oscar letters?
Oscar letter.
I didn't know we had a wrestler listening to the podcast.
Wait, was that?
Oscar? I'm kidding.
Oh,
I'm
Oscar.
kidding.
Oh, Oscar.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. That's the New York City accent in me coming out. But part of the feedback I got is stop talking politics. There are people like you, like, I love the show, but when you guys talk politics, I fucking hate it. So, I mean, not that I'm gonna, look, it's fucking an election year. There's no way we're gonna avoid and try not to talk politics. Of course, I'm gonna continue to bash Trump, and especially, with this, the way the state of the fucking, that we're literally in the middle of a fucking pandemic. We're literally in a fucking middle of a movie right now. We're gonna talk about it. I mean, we won't get deep into politics, all right? And I always say that let's not get deep into it. We usually do.
It always happens. So let's just whatever.
But it's the end of the world as we know it, because the entire, it's so weird that like everything is shut down for the most part.
I find it really, I don't know. I don't know what to think, because I'm sitting here going, on the one hand, I'm like, this is a flu basically that doesn't have a vaccine. So I can understand the not having a vaccine part. Mm-hmm. And obviously my parents are very susceptible to that, and we'll get into that part in a minute. But then there's the other side of me that's like, I see what happened in China. I see what's happening in Italy. I think the numbers coming out of Iran are lower than what they actually are, because I've heard like people in Iran are dying like one person every 10 minutes. Yeah. Like, well, yeah. I'm like sitting there.
Of course,
you know what I mean?
Governments are going to want to try to keep the numbers not look, for the sake of like, to save face. And I hate to put it like that, but people are gonna probably lie about how they're gonna make things look better than they actually are, because.
Well. So, I mean, I'm kind of like, do I worry about this or do I not worry about this? And then they shut down my side of all of this, the movie theater industry, and I'm like, okay, what the fuck?
Yeah, that's like the crazy thing, like, for both of us, and I we were talking about it before the episode, so I'm not gonna that's your business, and you'll decide to share how much you want to share. But luckily, as of right now, knock on wood, I'm knocking on my desk. You still have your job. When the theater industry. I mean, it's out there. I mean, a lot of people have been put on furlough and stuff like that. As for me, and I'll let you get to your story in a second, as for me, my life hasn't fucking changed one fucking iota. I've been working from home. It's funny to see all these people that are like, and I mean, I'm not, I'm making light of the situation, obviously. I'm not goofing on anyone's tragedy, but all these people, like, friends of mine being on Facebook and stuff like that, there are people who jobs now magically, when this shit happens, now the company says, oh yeah, by the way, yes, you can work from home. Like, I have like 2 or 3 friends that are like going through this transition, and so they're transitioning and they're doing things, and there's all types of there's crazy like monitoring apps, so like your boss can see what you're doing and shit. I don't know if I don't want to have I wouldn't, and thank goodness my boss isn't like this, I wouldn't want to have my webcam on while I'm home, because you sort of get, when you're home and you're used to being at home, I don't want my webcam on. But like, as for me, now of course, business has obviously slowed a little bit for my job, and we were gearing up, because now that it's like we're towards the end of the March, it's the end of the quarter, and end of the quarter business usually picks up. Business has actually been a little bit slow. Now, watch, I say that shit now, there's still a couple days left, and I'll probably get swamped before the 31st. But, for me, like in my life, what they say, don't go outside. Okay. I wasn't fucking going outside anyway. They go, sporting events all sports have been suspended. I don't give a fuck. The last, and I did go to the theater. The last time I went to the movies, and it was sort of like a last minute thing, and I would just like, I just like jumped on Google, and I said, I don't want to go home right now. Let's see what's in the movies. I went to go see Impractical Jokers. That was so if the world goes into fucking full pandemic, Walking Dead, outbreak, Contagion. If the last movie I saw in theaters was fucking Impractical Jokers. I remember a time when people could go to the theater and see a movie. What was the last movie you saw, Grandpa? Impractical Jokers. And so that was. But for me, it's so funny that like my life has been impacted very little. I mean, yes, okay, my daughter's with me, but this is like no different than like if she was on vacation, saying I have to work from home, and it is kind of hard to kind of juggle a kid that wants your attention all the time while you're trying to work. That's I don't want to say stressful, but I mean that it does add a little bit of stress to the day, working from home. Thankfully, that's always, they say ration your food. I'm not exactly a rich man. I got no qualms with eating fucking ramen noodles. I got no qualms with, budgeting myself for, eating. I'm used to eating Chef Boyardee. I'm eating, I mean, things recently changed in my life, in a personal level, but I mean, for the most part, I'm used to living by myself. I'm not, get my daughter on the weekends and stuff like that. I would, rationing toilet paper. I mean, I just did that because I was cheap. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Well, I mean, they have toilet paper again. It's just, people are finally like settling the.
Yeah, there was that initial rush, which goes to show, it proves to you that like in a real fucking situation, people don't give a fuck. And if this was like a real, I mean, okay, it is a real situation, and not to make light of it or whatever, but I mean, you know, if this was like end of the world type stuff, people do not give a fuck. You know what I'm saying? They just, I mean, luckily there hasn't been looting. We haven't gotten to that part yet. We haven't had, you know, that kind, and you know, and I honestly think people are probably afraid of looting because they just don't want to go outside and be around other people. You know, or maybe if they loot, they'll wear instead of wearing like a surgical mask, they'll just wear like a bandana around their face. But I mean, thankfully we haven't gotten to that point yet. But you know, it just goes to show you that when the shit hits the fan, you know, people are buying toilet paper, they're buying bottled water, they're buying canned goods. You know, there's lines outside fucking gun shops. You know, and that part scares me.
Oh, there was actually today when I went to Best Buy because I wanted to get an external hard drive for my computer so I could get rid of stuff because now I'm going to have some time. I went by, well, now it's Sportsman's Warehouse. It used to be, I can think of the name.
Oh, Gander Mountain?
But anyways, yeah, it used to be Gander Mountain. It was either Gander Mountain or something else. I can't remember what it was. Dick's basically sold it off, and now it's Sportsman's Warehouse. Dude, there was a line out the door. Yeah. I'm like, really, dude? Like, really? Do you need to have hunting stuff? Is that really needed right now? So, but there again, they probably are doing that whole 10 people in the store at a time thing.
Oh,
so.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
that's what they're doing. So it
looks
may
worse
like
from the outside than what it is. Okay.
Yeah, it looks worse from the outside, but you also have to take in consideration, like if you look at the parking lot, there wasn't that many cars. So it's just like, okay, whatever.
I mean, I'm gonna have to start building like Mad Max weapons and shit. You know.
I guess I can kind of. I'll go a little bit into it. Like I'm not going to say how many hours I work. I'm not going to say when I work there. I'm not even going to tell you obviously where I work, even though Chris has probably let it slip on this podcast. And so is the other host that was on here. But basically, you know, I'm there for not as many hours. I'm not there full time like I was. I'm getting paid. I'm fully getting paid, thankfully. I still have all my benefits. I'll still have all my vacation time and everything. I mean, I'm glad that I feel like Chris, I talk about this all the time. Like I've had this like good karma built up. So I feel like it just keeps coming around. I don't know what it is. Like I felt like I was like, okay, I don't think I'm going to lose my job here. And I was right. And, you know, it's nice that they actually trust me to do what I'm doing right now because it makes me feel good to know that I can do what I'm doing. It does suck because all of the other employees are basically they're basically furloughed. But it's one of those things where it's just like, you know, once, you know, this all clears up, which I'll go on a rant in a minute about that. This whole coronavirus fucking thing. But, you know, once it all clears up, their job is guaranteed still. Their pay is the same. So, it's one of those things where it's just like everything is still guaranteed when they come back. It's just like right now they have to go on unemployment, which, I mean, here's the problem, Chris. And this is what's probably happening with a lot of companies. The government just keeps changing the laws. So it's like my company, and I'm sure this is the same for other companies, is they're basically they're waiting to see what the government's going to do, because it's like if they're going to give them money,
they're going to get a bailout.
then they can actually, you know, give the employees something. You know what I mean? Whereas if they don't get anything because they were forced to shut down, then how are they supposed to pay the bills to keep the lights on when they open back up?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's, you know, there's more things I could say, but I'm not allowed to. But let's just say that it's people thinking that, you know, it's just the regular employees, the regular Joes that are hurting. I would just say that that's probably not the case, and that's all I can really say at the moment. So, but, you know, it's going to be interesting once everything reopens, and that could be, you know, who knows how long that's going to be.
Right now, all bets are off. I mean, you can say furlough, or they can say furlough. And that's all fine and good, but that's sort of like, that's like someone writing you a check, saying like, you hope and pray that it's honored, but, you can say, oh, you're furloughed, but like, I mean, let's just say, and God forbid it does something like this, where, let's just say it goes 6 months, let's just say it goes a year. I mean, of course, I pray that it doesn't, and I keep saying pray, God forbid, but you know what I mean. I say that because I was brainwashed as a child being Catholic. But I'm saying is if those things, if it's like a worst case scenario or almost worst case scenario, and things go for like 6 to 8 months and things like that, companies are not going to be, they're not going to have, their cushion is gone. And if, let's just say they don't get a bailout or whatever, people aren't necessarily guaranteed their jobs back. I mean, it's all said,
right.
It's all said in good faith. Yes, you're furloughed but there's no fucking, and what are you going to do? Sue a company that doesn't exist anymore? 'Cause what if a company goes under and with all intents and purposes, they had every intention when shit went down. Oh, you're furloughed and you'll have a job when things get back. But if shit, goes to the point where, it's not going to, now they're going to open a bunch of Halloween adventures.
Well, I mean, you have to keep in mind too that a lot of these companies didn't really want to shut down. I mean, it took one company, one of the big major, it was Cinemark. It took them till today, I think, to shut down all of their, it took yesterday's, I think, when they shut down all of their theaters nationwide because, obviously in New York, in the states that, said you can't have the movie theater open, basically they were already shut down if they had a movie theater in that state. But then, other states, they were still open and they were the last ones to close. There were the two other major companies closed down and then Cinemark closed yesterday. So I mean, everybody, and I don't even know if there's any more movie theaters that are open. I would think if you're a movie theater company in the nation and you're still open, you better close because they're probably going to kill you.
I mean, well, New York State sets a precedent where they said, no more than 50% of the theater can be filled, and you can only sell 50% of tickets. I saw pictures.
Well, they shut it all down.
Like where they taped off rows, like they had every other row taped. Well, I mean, I don't know. I just happened to see it like on Twitter where it was like, this row reserved for, the quote unquote social distance, which of course, I hate when people sit next to me in the theater and shit like that. But
I mean, that might have been like in New York City or something. But I mean, I'll be honest with you. Once this started to ramp up, I mean, we were lucky to do like 200 to 300 for the whole day at that point because people weren't coming to the theater, So I mean, it is what it is. But I would say, like, I think my company is trying to, I know what you're saying, Chris, and if it does get to the point where this goes on for like the whole year, then yeah, people probably won't have a job. But there again, if it does go on for the whole year, and we'll probably, and not to get into politics, but the whole, the Senate right now, as of tonight, has an agreement with most of the Republicans to do some kind of like everybody gets $1,000 if you make under $75,000 a year.
I mean,
so
in the big picture, you have to. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's all I'll cash that check as soon as I get. But I mean, like what's $1,000? I mean, for some people. I mean, that's maybe rent.
I think. Well, that's what I think they're trying to. I mean, obviously the plan hasn't gone through. They're going to the Democrats now, and they're going to go talk to them and whatever. But even the Democrats are like, we want something that's more like, giving people like maybe $2,000 a month, like at least then you're paying your rent and then you have money to buy food. You know what I mean? So, I mean, that to me makes more sense, especially if this goes on farther, because they're going to have to do some major packages to keep this going if it goes on for a long time. But, it's just, again, like, I just sit here and I go, are we over exaggerating this? Like, I feel like in some ways we are. Now, I'm not saying, here's the other thing
they have to fucking keep people fucking, for the most part, happy and fucking calm because if shit hits the
fan, everybody's going to start robbing.
They're going to be fucking riots in the streets. You know what I'm saying? I mean, whether, so, they kind of have to put that little carrot on a stick in front of people. Like, oh, you'll get $1,000, which is another way of like, please don't fucking ransack my house and kill me and my family. Because
exactly.
People are scared. People are doing panicky shit, like buying up all the fucking guns and toilet paper.
And then you got these streets. You got these fucking idiots out in Florida on the fucking beaches. And then come to find out, Chris, this is the funny part. Come to find out, the people that are going to the hospital the most are between the ages of 20 to 54. So it's like, that includes some of you dumbasses out there that are on the beach.
Yeah, I saw a video about that online.
Fuck?
I saw it on, it was like a CBS video, and I was like,
they're finally closing the beaches. I'm like, thank you fucking God. Because here's the thing, like, people don't understand this, and this is something that anybody that's listening to this podcast should understand. The less that you do, the shorter this will be. Because here's the thing, if you, as of this podcast, they haven't shut down domestic flights, but I guarantee you in the next couple of days, they're going to shut down domestic and international flights. Like, dude, like, it's that serious. Like, and I don't know why they haven't shut down domestic flights. Some asshole flew into Rochester on a fucking plane from JFK and went to his house and and obviously quarantined, which that part's good, but guess what? You infected all these other people that you were on the plane and in the airport. Like, for me, like, I have a cold. I've had a cold for a while, so I don't think it's coronavirus, but how do I know? I mean, I don't have any other symptoms. I don't have a fever. I'm not like, I can breathe, so it's not like anything like that. It's just mucus.
Well, that's as soon as people talk about coughing, I don't have to cough until people talk about coughing. Now, I was doing a lot of coughing the last episode, and I actually, like I said, I've got a lot of unofficial feedback from other people. And I basically got feedback from a guy basically saying like, dude, get yourself fucking checked out. And I was like, no. That was that particular time. Well, it's sort of weird, like, and I don't want to jinx myself. Generally, as a rule, I don't get like the major flus. Like I don't. I don't get the flu, but like I'll get shitty for like. Like I'll have this like a prolonged cough that'll go for like 2 or 3 weeks or whatever, and then I'm good. And obviously this past episode, as we're recording, from the last episode, I was almost dying at the end. And I'm good now.
Yeah.
I want to cough because I'm talking about coughing, and psychosomatically now I feel like I have the urge to fucking cough. But, knock on wood, I'm okay.
Well, I mean, there's also the problem, Chris, where people will go and they'll be like, I have all these symptoms. And by the way, they're worse than what I have or what you had. And they'll go and they'll be like, dude, this is what I have. Well, you got to talk to your doctor. You tell your doctor, the doctor refers you, you go, and they're like, oh, well, you're not severe enough, so we're not going to test you. It's like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, okay, but then you're not really helping us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like, you need to kind of be testing everybody at this point. I mean, who knows who has it? My son could come here and have it, and he doesn't even know. You know what I mean? It's just, for me, I don't like it. Here, let me give you another example. So even though I don't have as many hours, I also have to go get stuff from my parents, because my mom has basically emphysema, and my father has type 2 diabetes and leukemia. But the leukemia is not really like full blown. It's just they've been able to manage it because they caught it way ahead of time. So, number one, my father's immune system is already compromised. But then, number two, if my mother gets it, which my mother won't stay in that house, So, for me, I'll try to minimize that and go get them stuff. Like today, my mom went and got something from Wegmans. She said she wore the mask and the gloves, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm happy you did that. Don't do that again. So... it's just, I don't want to be the mean prick and then, them getting pissed at me because I go in there and yell at them. But it's like, you're the one that's going to get killed by this if you don't start taking this seriously.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I guess, it's one of those things where I'm just like, let me get sick. And also, part of the problem is I have a CPAP machine, and because the temperature keeps going up and fucking down, it's fucking with me really badly. And it's done that a lot these past weeks. So my body's just like, dude, what the fuck is going on? So, and I'll clean my CPAP machine more often, and I'll still have like a lot of, mucus. Not as much because I'm actually drinking orange juice. And by the way, fuck you people for taking all the goddamn orange juice. But yeah, I mean, I don't know if I have it. I could. Because they say that part of it is a cold.
You can be a carrier even though it's not affecting you. Or
By the way, one tip that I've learned, how like our parents have Lysol and they spray the shit out of everything. It actually says on the bottle, and I kid you not, it says one of the things it kills is human coronavirus. I'm like, all right, so this will kill the coronavirus. I'm like, all right, so and I spray everything, dude. Like, I sprayed my parents' car when I got in, and I sprayed it when I left it. Like, dude, it's that serious. Like, I'm not gonna take the chance.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's
You
all,
know?
and that's why people need to stay home and not go out and do dumb shit. I've gone.
I mean, if you-
I've left the house in a couple. The past couple days, I've left the house twice, and one was to get supplies. Once, I went shopping, and it was stuff for my daughter. And then the other stuff. And then to go get my daughter tonight. And I've been to Walmart. And of course, you keep an eye, you keep away from people. The good thing, Walmart does have those stupid little, wipes. As soon as you walk in, you can wipe down your carriage, and you can, I take like 2 of them. I keep one in my hand, and if you need to open the handle for like the freezer or something like that, you can use that other one, to hold, use it. I don't know how effective it is, but it's something. A little bit of something's better than a whole lot of nothing. And so I've been to Walmart, twice in the past couple days, since shit really went downhill. I've been shopping twice, and then to go pick up my daughter. And picking up my daughter's, that's not really even interact at mom's house. But like these fucking idiots down in in spring break, oh well, we paid for this vacation, and it's like it's people like that is gonna fucking damn us all. Because those kids, when they're done, because usually you go to spring break and you come back with syphilis, you come back with herpes, you're not supposed to come back with the coronavirus, and they're gonna go back to whatever colleges and whatever towns that they lived in, and and then bring it back, because all it takes is one party. And it's so funny, I've always been, I've introvert is probably not the right word, but I've always been like a homebody. I've always been the kind of person where I don't like people. I don't like leaving my house, But, I've been prepping for this day. That's why my life hasn't changed at all since this coronavirus. But, you get used to staying at home and avoiding things. And then, I see people, and it's not that they're posting it from live stuff. They're posting it from before all the shit went down, of remember going to clubs, remember doing this and that, and it's sort of like, oh, people are on top of each other, breathing around each other. And one thing that, well, the 2 things that affect me, and I'll get on that in just a second, is, one is, I technically still have, I got tickets to see Tool, the band Tool, in May. And at this particular rate, I don't think it's gonna, a lot of bands, especially a big band like that, they're gonna postpone. So they're gonna push it back.
Well, what day is it in May?
27th or something like that.
Is it in Rochester? Basically, if this is still going on May 1st, then push it back. But I think, that's another thing, is I think that this is gonna kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? Level off by, mid-April, because
we'll have a month of nuttiness.
At least here in New York, because our testing has ramped up. They did 8,000 tests yesterday. I'm sure they're doing more. They did more today. So we'll see. I find it I'll sit there and I'll be like, oh, we have 30 cases here in Monroe County, and then I'm like, oh, that's still a low number for New York. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, okay.
And anybody listening to the show who knows me, if they cancel New York Comic Con, God help, if they cancel New York Comic Con, I'm fucking taking hostages, man. I'm climbing a clock tower with a fucking automatic rifle, and I'm taking everybody with me. Of course, once again, New York, and I of course, when I say that, please, people, don't take that seriously. I meant that as a joke. A big thing like New York Comic Con, if it does get postponed, they will push it back, which will be weird, because let's just say, hypothetically, they push it back to January. Usually it's in October. Let's say they push it back to January of next year. But then it'll be weird, because then there'll be a Comic-Con in January, then Comic-Con will continue its usual schedule back in October, so less than a year apart, which would be weird. But an event that fucking big that generates that much money, and I believe has surpassed San Diego Comic-Con. The 2 things that I'm worried about, the 2 things that I'm going where there's going to be people asses to elbows, are big enough where, unless hopefully we don't sink into fucking Walking Dead territory. These things will, when we return to civilization, they'll get postponed where, my money didn't go down the fucking toilet, because I want to see Tool. And
I don't think that, I think this will definitely be leveled off way before that comes out. But, it's funny you say that, because they're gonna use the Javits Center possibly for a huge hospital.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if you heard that, but yeah, that's what they're looking at. New York City's looking at to do.
I'm pretty sure.
So that'll be interesting.
I'm pretty sure they have that contingency plan that put all the sick people in there, and there's plenty of space, and and
I think they're gonna use I think they're going to use that. I don't know if they're going to use that for like for flu and other things, and they'll use the regular hospitals for the coronavirus. So I don't know. I don't know how they're going to do it, but there's that's interesting that you say that, because they are going to use that probably. So and New York City is pretty bad.
Yeah, I mean people
just face
people living on top of each other. And don't get me wrong, that's where I was born and raised, and I love New York City, and that's that will always I will always consider New York City my home. But yeah, I mean it's sort of asking for it. There's a mixture of people, and here's something I kind of wanted to talk about, and it's sort of like people, so Donald Trump got a lot of flack because he called it the Chinese virus, and that does have like a really bad connotation, and not that I'm, and then this stop being such a fucking bleeding heart punk bitch, bleeding heart liberal, but when and to bring up someone else's post on Facebook, when AIDS came out and when AIDS was the thing, and that was the gay virus, that put a strong negative impact on the gay community. Homophobia is a thing. People got beat up because they were gay, and part of the reason they got beat up was because of that fear. When Donald Trump says shit like, Chinese virus, you can call me a pussy, you can say I'm a snowflake, you can say I'm whatever, but using a phrase like that, Chinese virus, and then Donald Trump, but that's where it's from, I'm gonna call it what it is. And it's like, okay, technically you may be right. Be a decent fucking human being, have a fucking soul, and call it by its real name. Call it COVID-19, call it coronavirus, because when you say Chinese virus, you kind of, you send like a, and the word, they say it's a dog whistle. You're sending messages to people. There are a lot of racists love Trump, and if you say Chinese, the Chinese, these foreigners, they're all evil. These foreigners, they're horrible, disgusting people, and they gave us this disease, and if it was just Americans, we wouldn't have this disease. And don't get me wrong, because I brought this up because I mentioned New York City. I've lived in New York City. I've spent plenty of time in Chinatown, and I hate, this is now making me sound like a racist. It's not like, you do walk through Chinatown, and I remember in the 80s, before Giuliani cleaned up New York, in the 80s, you would walk through Chinatown, and there'd be open air market and all types of crazy animals, fish and stuff like that. They'd have stuff on ice, and then the ice would melt, and this weird green water would fucking like spill into the streets and shit like that. Growing up walking through Chinatown, look, Chinatown was not the most sanitary, was not the most cleanly sanitary place. And the reason things are like that is because things are like that back home. The Chinese government focuses on other things, and of course they want to look good to the rest of the world. But in small towns, they don't have the regulations we have here in the United States. So, and social things are different. For us, we couldn't possibly fathom the idea of eating a dog. Yet in Korea, I mean, not recently, but 30 years ago, 40 years ago, you could go to Korea and eat a dog, and that was sort of like a normal thing. There are people, there's a whole generation of people who have no qualms with eating a dog, Yet people in India worship a cow, and they think we're the fucking scumbags of the universe because we love hamburger, and so yes, it does feel weird and it's nasty that someone's eating a bat. Fine, and if you want to, we wouldn't have this fucking virus if it was for those Chinese people eating bats and snakes and shit. And you know what? You may be right. Factually, you may be right. How about having a fucking heart? How about having a little bit of fucking decency and say, you know what? What's happened and stuff like that. Let's deal with it. Don't call it the fucking And then there's other people, and it sounds like a joke, Kung Flu. And and Kung Flu, I don't know, that I haven't said it. I haven't called it that. It feels wrong coming out, and I generally don't give a shit if I'm offending somebody. But, it's sort of weird that it's like, at a time like this, don't add an extra fucking layer of hate on top of the fucking shit they were already stressing about,
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's one of those things where I sit there and I go, I don't know if, it's hard because it is a coronavirus. It did come out of China. So it is a Chinese coronavirus. However, the technical term for it is COVID-19. So just call it COVID-19 so that way people aren't getting bullied and beat up on here in the United States, which they are, because you're kind of calling it a Chinese virus.
It brings, and the whole thing is that when when confronted, when you tell someone, you know what, maybe you shouldn't say coronavirus, they fucking double down. I mean, you shouldn't say Chinese virus, they'll double down. Well, fuck you, you can't tell me what to say.
Well,
before, they might not had even been saying it with a racist connotation. Oh, I'm not racist. No, it came from China. And you know what? Yes, initially, our brains, you don't connotate Chinese virus being something racist. But now that it's out there and there's people that are saying, hey, whoa, you're painting a whole fucking continent, or not a whole continent, but China's a pretty big fucking country land-wise. You're painting this entire section of the fucking world you're painting, them as the creators of, the disease and it's their fault and all this shit. Why isn't anybody calling it the Italian virus? You know what I'm saying? I mean, not, of course, yes, it came from China, but it's fucking, so many people are getting fucking killed and there's so much, tons of deaths going on right now in Italy. Why don't we call it the Italian virus? And so it's sort of, I'm just saying, there's people out there that said, hey, you know what? Don't call it that.
Well, so the problem that happened with Italy is what I found out was they have, like, China and Italy have this agreement, and they had one of the Chinese plants in Italy, and people were saying that, because people were going back and forth from China, the people that were in the factory were infected, they didn't know, and then they infected the country, and then now it's overblown. But I'm starting to think that the Italians don't have a really good immune system because, dude, I mean, we're talking about like an increase of like 400 people per day, like dying. I'm like,
well, I mean,
whoa.
Italians are so, not for nothing.
What the
I mean,
fuck?
These are your fucking people, man. Italians are sociable people. Italians, how do Italians greet each other? They kiss each other on the cheek. Even men kiss each other, and once again, that's just a social mores. In the United States, it's big, men don't kiss each other on the cheek. In Italy, it's nothing. The most machismo fucking guys kiss each other on the cheek in Italy. People, they'll when they talk to you, if they're standing next to you, they'll put their hand on your shoulder, they'll pull you in, and of course, I'm saying this and I'm not trying to, like, push stereotypes out there, but Italians are sociable people. Italians touch each other when Italians would violate with what Americans call their personal space. And don't get me wrong, I love my personal space. Stay the fuck, they say stay 6 feet away. If it could be stay 10 feet away. I hate having people around me. I hate people being crowded. I hate when I'm waiting online and someone's standing too close behind me. And as an American, I have my personal space. Italians lean into you. You know what I'm saying? When Italians are talking to you, it's like they get in your face. So I think the disease spread. I mean, now people know what's going on and they're taking precautions, but everybody's in each other's face in that country.
Well, I mean, dude, even after they all like quarantined themselves to their apartments and houses and whatnot, there's still like 400 people dying. And yeah, I mean, that probably happened because they were doing all that shit. But at the same time, dude, that's why I think they elevated to the level here, because they don't want that to happen. And thankfully, we're only at like, I think just over 200 deaths so far from this, but we're not doing like 400 people a day, which is a good thing because, I just want this to kind of go away. I'm kind of hoping, as much as I don't want to agree with Trump, I kind of hope that this will just, when the summertime comes, that'll cause the virus to kind of dissipate and, everything will be back to normal science, kind of thing.
Once again, I don't get flus that often, but I've gotten the occasional summer flu.
Yeah, I've gotten the flu.
Like, give me a winter flu any fucking day.
I've gotten the flu once during the summertime,
and it's the worst.
Which was weird. And it's the worst because you're like, where did this come from? But like I said, I mean, it was never like, like I didn't ask for it. It just happened all of a sudden out of nowhere. So, I'm hoping that the cases will dramatically go down when the summertime comes around. But there again, we have to get to how many cases we actually have. I mean, I was just, as you were talking, I was looking on Facebook and they said, U of R here said that 95% of the tests that have been given, they come back negative. So, I mean, that's a good sign, but there again, like, get the fuck off the road. Get in your house. If you don't need to be out, don't be out. That's how I am. But if I gotta go get something for like, I gotta go to my parents' house and grab something, or I gotta go, get some more food or something, then that's what I'll do. But, you know, it is what it is. So, but yeah, I mean, one other thing I want to talk about with the coronavirus real quick. Did you notice that GameStop is trying to bullshit their way out of staying open?
Well, no, that's, I had that in my notes, but what maybe you heard something a little different than what I heard.
I'm sure it's the same thing where they're trying to say, right? they're trying to say that they are a essential store to be open. So I just find that funny because it's like, okay, fine, you have like headset equipment and you have other stuff. I get that, but you're mainly a game store. Yeah. So I don't think you're staying open, dude.
Well, I mean, look, and it's gonna be weird. Like, and I'm gonna let me be devil's advocate on. And don't get me wrong. Part of me believes they should close because I mean, if they're gonna stay open, let them follow the rule of like, only a certain amount of people in the store. Whatever the number usually is, be half of that. Which would be weird if they told you like you went into a GameStop and like, could you step outside while these other people finish shopping? That being said, though, in this day and age, like, okay. Like right now, streaming services are fucking doing fantastic. from what I understand, the other day they released they released Frozen 2 on Disney. We'll get into this later. Studios are contemplating the idea of releasing theater release movies for on demand, but like for $20 a pop. So I'm just saying is in a world where maybe our parents, not our parents, but like people of our generation and younger, and I would say even like people grew up on video games, and especially for people to stay home with, for the lack of a better term, nothing else better to do. Of course, yes, video games are not it's not an essential item, but they'd be shooting themselves in the foot to close because I'm pretty sure there's people out there. Now, of course, yes, we also the younger generation, and I would say. I would say people about 10 years younger than me, don't even like people about 10 years younger than me are blown away by the idea of like physical media, so like for them to say, well, why buy the game? You can just download it at home. Okay, there's those people. So like it's sort of we're this weird Goldilocks area where like I like physical media. I want my games on a disc. People older than us don't care about video games, or at least not of the way that we are. From my earliest memories, I've always had a gaming system in my house, even if it was fucking like an Atari or Commodore 64 or something like that. I can't see for the rest of my life, for the best of my knowledge, until the day I die, I'm gonna have a gaming system in my house. So a store like GameStop, I understand why they would want to stay open.
They're not gonna be able to.
You're gonna have to step in and shut them down. But like once again, just playing devil's advocate for the situation, in a world where people are literally locked in their homes, or literally forced to stay at home. Yeah, let's have some fucking video games. I mean, of course, the market is set up between between Steam and Xbox Live and the PlayStation Network. I mean, yes, there's plenty you can buy games online, but then let me just counterpoint that by saying that a person like me, I have 90 gigs on my PlayStation 4. Right now, I'm playing Red Dead Revolver 2. I had that in my notes for later on. That's been my quarantine game. I've had that sitting in plastic, saying that was like in case I break my leg or something like that. Which, of course, even if I broke my leg, the way I work, I could still work with a broken leg. But that was sort of like, that was my doomsday game. And now that doomsday's here.
Right.
My point being is, a game like Red Dead Revolver takes up 60 fucking gigs on my PlayStation hard drive. I have a 90 gig hard drive. Other games, if I want to play other games, I'm not going to sit there and wait to download 60 gigs worth of information. If I want to download another game, and mind you, that's not even the on the PlayStation Red Dead Redemption 2. One disc is like a data disc, and the other disc is the play. You know what I'm saying? So there's even more information on the play disc. 60 gigs is just what it takes up on the hard drive. So imagine every time you wanted to go and switch another game, you're going to have to download 90 gigs of information every time you want to switch games. Let's say I want to go and play Grand Theft Auto 5, another huge game. Let's say I wanted to play Fallout 4. Sometimes just put all that shit on a fucking disc, or go on.
Yeah, but I know you were going off on a tangent there, but I mean you can still buy stuff off of GameStop.com.
Yeah,
you can buy stuff off of Amazon. Yeah, Amazon.com. So I mean, you know, I mean, look at, for example, like, I think for example, the mall is closed now. All the malls here in Rochester are closed as of tonight. So the GameStops that are in the mall, they can't stay open. They're not going to be able to because they're not going to unlock the doors. The mall can't unlock the doors. So, but then there's obviously the ones that are in plazas. So those ones will probably stay open as long as possible. But there again, I mean, the governor of Pennsylvania just put in, and by the way, the governor of Pennsylvania joined with New York State, New Jersey, and Connecticut. He put in a thing that said non-essential businesses are going to close. Dude, within a couple days, that's going to happen here in New York State. So all these businesses besides the grocery stores, probably fast food, I would say. If your store is like a to go, you know what I mean? Like, if you can do to go orders, those will probably stay open.
In Rochester. Earlier today, I was watching a live stream of somebody, and they said, and I don't want to be misquoted here, but I think I never heard of it, but I heard there's a place called Century Liquor or something to that effect.
Yes.
And Century delivers fucking liquor. Like, you know, they were smart enough to find a loophole.
I think that's one of the Wegmans bosses owns that, because they own that, and then they own the one that's in Henrietta next to Wegmans.
For those who don't know, Wegmans is sort of like, for, you know, people don't, you know, Wegmans is a big deal here in Rock. I think, I don't know if it wasn't started here, they definitely have like headquarters here and shit like that. So Wegmans, you know, if Danny Wegman, the president of the company, says, I feel like Rochester, everything should be painted blue tomorrow. Trust me, there'll be blue fucking buildings tomorrow.
I don't know that. But what I was trying to say was they actually got fined for that, because, you know, you can't have wine in supermarkets, and they didn't put it in their Wegman stores. But what happened was they basically they had a wine store, but it was separate. But because it was kind of in the same realm, they fined them. So, you know, it is what it is. But at the same time, like, you know, there's actually, because I thought you were going to say there's this, I know they have one on Ridge Road, and there's one in Henrietta across from Delta Sonic where it's like this, it's kind of like a drive-through where you can get beer and everything. It's like they open up this garage door and you go right through the middle of the store, kind of. So I don't know if that would still stay open, but I would assume, because it's not like, I wouldn't consider that like a thing. Like nobody's going to get out of the car. You're just going to ask them what they want. You put it in their car, boom, get the money, and you're all set. You know, so I think that might stay open, but I don't know if anybody would want to buy liquor at this point. Stores, like, a lot of
now are doing, the restaurants that were doing it before, you do it to go, or you sign up, like, you know, the two big ones were Grubhub and Uber.
Yeah.
Because both of them had an option. Both of them always had an option for pickup. So they're like, I've seen stores where they're like, if you want to get food from this store, you have to order it through Grubhub or Uber. The good thing is, of course they hit you with a surcharge because you're using the app, but you know, it's a lot cheaper than delivery. I'll tell you that. And then you set up your food service.
Well, they're actually
they get the money, and then you get your food. You know, you keep it moving.
Well, they're actually dropping the price a lot on some of this stuff. So, like Burger King, for example, I guess is giving away 2 kids meals if you buy something through the drive-thru or something. It's like really weird, but. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so it's one of those things, Chris, where it's just like, you know, this might be the new norm for a little bit, but you know, it's going to end up coming down to that because people are just not listening. They're not fucking listening. And I get that people want to be out of the house and they want to do that. But like, for example, Kohl's is closing its stores. You know, I think JCPenney's closed. So it's like, and Macy's closed all their stores. So it's like, you know, there's nothing like, these stores are trying to do the right thing. Why can't you like do the right thing as well? You know, like that's just how it's going to have to be for now, because we have to, like they keep saying and drilling into people's heads, we have to flatten the curve. You know what I mean? And the only way to do that in New York State is if you people stop fucking going out. And by the way, if you stop fucking going out, the quicker you'll be able to go back out again. You know, and by the way, when I say don't go out, that doesn't mean you can't go out for fresh air, or you can't drive to the gas station, or you can't go to the supermarket.
Just go where
guess what?
People.
But and think about this, by the way, Walmart and Target were smart because now they don't have to shut down because they have supermarkets in their stores. So guess what? Now they can stay open and you can get, if you need jeans, if you need shoes, if you need a TV, which I've been seeing a lot of TVs flying off. You know, so it's you know, it's one of those things where you just have to understand that this is the new norm. This is what's going to have to happen from now on, and just go with it, you know. And by the way, you know, let me just put this out here, and I'm sure we'll go to commercial here in a minute, but, you know, if anybody that's listening to this that's in the Rochester area needs help, please let me know. There's not much, I'm not going to sit here and literally give you money, but like, if you need me to go pick something up for you and you pay me when I bring it to you, that's fine. I don't have a problem doing that. You know what I mean? I'm already doing it for my parents. I don't give a shit if I do it for somebody else, so just, let me know if you need help. I don't care who it is. At this point, dude, like, I don't even care about what's happened in the past with people. If somebody from my past wants something, just reach out and ask me. I'm here to help, and that's what I want to try to do. So,
And I'm looking out for number one, and that's it. Fuck that, kiss my ass. No,
of course.
I kid. And I think with that, we'll be back with more Dick and Fart.
This episode of Two Strangers, One Podcast is brought to you by Comics Etc., 1115 East Main and North Goodman at the Hungerford Building, door number 8. Find out more information at comicsetc.biz or like them on Facebook at facebook.com/comicsetc1.
Did you ever see a film at such a young age it left you traumatized with cinematic wounds? Necrophilia. It's a dead issue, man. Don't push it. Cinema Psyops is a weekly podcast documenting an ongoing experiment on the mind of an unwilling test subject.
No one should have to watch this movie.
Oh, no one should have to watch this?
No one should have to watch this movie.
Surprisingly, it's not a topic that a lot of people really want to tackle.
I'm shocked, prudes.
I know, really.
Right?
It's the next sexual frontier that no one wants to explore.
I am, in the most sincerest of senses, disappointed in you.
It takes a powerful goddess like Connie, jam her arm down the monster's throat and kill it. Oh, I'm still tripping out over that. Even as a kid, I was like, I gotta find a girl like that. Every week, I get a new look of disappointment that I never thought I could get out of her.
Unimaginable. At 12 years old, you should not be watching this movie.
Obviously.
At 13, you should not be. 14, you shouldn't be. I'm not entirely sure even 17-year-olds should be watching this movie.
Just because you're offended by something doesn't mean that you have the right to demand that it doesn't exist. Watching this film again, I had all of this like little nerd glee with everything that kept
little
popping
history
up.
doll popping up
absolutely.
at you.
So I totally loved this film.
Hey, I know why you couldn't see that. It's because your brain's warped from watching this shit at 12 years old.
Yeah, this is a rough movie. I told you ahead of time when we were getting ready to do it that it was going to be a rough
How could you watch
one.
this shit at 12?
Because physical wounds heal, cinematic ones don't. Listen to Cinema Psyops.
And we're back. All right, Paul. The weird thing is that usually this is part of the show where we do the nerding. Except with this week, with all the shit going on, all Hollywood is basically just shut down. Every movie. The first one I heard that was being postponed was James Bond, No Time to Die or whatever, and then
Quiet Place,
Stranger Things season 4, basically every show, anything that's in production right now is going to be pushed back.
I mean, now we know why that is because for some odd reason all these actors are getting sick. So people on these sets are sick. So I can understand why now they're just like, no, shut it all down
like
because
people are on top
you know
of
what I mean. I mean, I hate to say this to you, but the porn industry is shutting down. So it's like,
well, actually, no,
No, they're actually shutting down. There's a couple articles online.
If you know where to look, there's already coronavirus-related porn up.
Well, they may have done it already, but they're like literally shutting down by the end of this weekend.
I mean, but the funny, and my counterpoint to that would be is that that's an industry that already keeps an eye medically on all its stars, all the big companies that people are constantly. I mean,
definitely.
I think the general rule is every 3 months you get tested, which is still kind of a wide window, but also like for the legit quote unquote stars that do it. Why jeopardize? Why ruin your reputation and shit like that? It's not like they're going out and having sex with prostitutes or junkies or anything like that. They keep tabs of who they, because one, just for their general health, and two, I mean, they know they get tested. If they come back positive for something, they can't work. So the funny thing is, if porn stars are probably better prepared than the rest of it.
That's true. But I mean, moving on from that, I mean, it's we were talking about, like, for example, Trolls. So these fucking, and again, Chris, we'll have to wait and see as we get closer to the date that Trolls is supposed to come out. But what I was saying to you off the podcast is if you remember NBC Universal, and I think it was just Universal at the time, it was Tower Heist years and years back. They tried Yeah, so they tried to put this Ben Stiller movie on demand and in theaters at the same time. Well, the big three, Cinemark, Regal, and AMC, put their foot down and they said, no, you're not going to do this. And Universal said, well, fuck you, I'm just going to do it anyways. And that's just how it is. They're like, all right, fine, we're not putting it in our movie theaters. So you can imagine the deal for them to put it on demand stopped. And, you know, they decided to cave to the movie theaters because they were going to sue them. So now, fast forward to now, we're looking at Trolls possibly being on demand. Now, granted, I thought that it was, they didn't really give too much detail. I just heard that it was coming out on there, and I'm like, oh, here we go. They're just going to put it on their service so people will buy the NBC Universal, what I think it's called Peacock. I think that's where it's going. And that's not a joke, folks. That's the name of their streaming service. So, yeah. So I believe it's just going on there, and you can buy it off of there, or it's going on demand. Either or, whatever. It's going to be $20. So I was saying to you off the podcast, I was like, you know, I'm wondering if that $20, part of that money goes to the movie theater chains. And I don't know that for sure, but what will be interesting to see is if these movie theater chains throw their lawyers at these guys, because that'll tell you if that's legitimately something that's going to happen. Because you have to understand the reason why you don't see, for example, Mulan was going to come out, actually not this week, but next week. That got pushed back. The thing is, yeah, they could throw it up on Disney Plus if they wanted to. But here's the thing. They're not making any money off of it if that's the case. Because you gotta remember, and this is why I tell people, they don't want to lose this revenue. Because here's the thing. You're making millions and billions of dollars in its run in the theaters. Then you bring it out onto physical release, and that makes a couple million there. It comes out, it goes to streaming, so you're making money off of it on streaming because people are buying, you know, Disney Plus to watch Mulan, for example. And then obviously on demand, you know, it'll be on demand as well. I think it still goes on demand for stuff. I don't remember. I still see movies going on demand, so I assume that that's still available as well. And, you know, if there's any movie rental stores, like Family Video still out there, so, you know, you go rent it there, so that's additional revenue. And then, you know, you're getting all of this revenue, but that first burst is where they make the shitload of money. So when people are sitting there going, oh, Black Widow should be on Disney Plus, oh, Mulan should be on Disney Plus, they're going to wait and see if this is going to go on for months. These movies won't go on, and I'm telling you this right now, other than those bastards at NBC Universal. And maybe they're waiting to see what's going to happen with that, because I feel like that's kind of, they're kind of looking at that first. Basically, they don't want to lose out on that revenue, so they're going to push these movies back into the summertime and see what happens. Because like I said, I don't think that this whole coronavirus thing, I think that we're going to flatten out and eventually go back down, and people, once we start getting a lot of negative cases and zero keep coming back, especially like here in Monroe County, for example, these things will be lifted and we'll be able to go back. You know what I mean? So I don't know when that's going to be. And, you know, I think a lot of people are hoping that at the end of April, we'll be able to open things back up. But, you know, I don't know. Nobody knows at this point. So, but yeah, I mean, everything's at a standstill. I mean, the new PS5, if this continues deep into the end of the year, that may not come out. Same thing with the Xbox, the new Xbox, that may not come out.
I mean, I'm hoping, because like right now E3, one of the things that got, one of the first major things that got canceled was, and I was reading an article about how, you know, a lot of companies, unfortunately, you know, because since E3 has become a yearly thing, they'll, for the lack of a better term, crank out a shitty game that you can fix later on with updates and stuff like that. And with E3 being such a big tentpole event, these companies have been known to, you know, lots of companies have been known to just crank out whatever flawed, buggy shit they had just so it's there for E3. And one of the things we may benefit out of is that now these developers, people who have nothing but time to sit at home or sit in an office and code, will have more time to fix the fucking games and not be so shitty, and not have to be on day one you buy a game and then you're spending 3 hours downloading fucking updates and DLC because, you know, it's working from day one. So, you know, maybe it's, you know, it's kind of good. I mean, I can't speak for the industry, and of course, you know, I don't want people to lose their jobs or anything like that, but maybe it's good for things to kind of just, you know, not have things be forced on us. You know, the Xbox and the PS5 and all this shit, you know. Once again, I see no, as of right now, and of course I'm saying this as a person who's lives paycheck to paycheck or whatever. I see no need for a fucking PlayStation 5. I got my PlayStation 4. I'm very happy with it. I still have tons of games I haven't even addressed yet.
Yeah, and not to interrupt you, but people are going to be playing the PS4 for a long time, even when the PS5 comes out, because it's going to be super expensive. But go on.
Literally still has PlayStation 3 game in it.
Yeah, and my son will buy those games and still play them. Like, yeah, and they still support the PS3. As of right now, they're still supporting the PS3. So, I mean, there's no reason to sit there and go out and get a new game system when people are still playing, 2 game systems below it. So it's like,
yeah, there's no rush.
You know what I mean? Like,
5. I mean, of course,
no.
Do we want it? Yes, as Americans, we want it, and we want to have our new toy. We want to play with our new toy and everything like that. But right now, I don't want people to lose their jobs or anything like that. But there's no fucking need. There's no need for, I mean, am I fucking bummed? I was really looking forward to the Black Widow movie. I mean, just from being a Marvel fanboy. I can't even think of other movies that they're coming out this summer that I'm excited about. But
well, so that was the other thing I was going to say to you is there's not a lot of big movies, so to speak, coming out. I mean, James Bond was going to be this month coming up. Now it's moved back to November, where it should have been in the first place, to be honest with you. There's no Star Wars movie this year. Top Gun is in June, so I don't think that'll be canceled. So, I'm hoping it doesn't go that deep into the year, but yeah, I mean, there's not that many big movies. I mean, that's why I was saying, like, it's a good year for these movie theaters to kind of just like get ready for 2021, because 2021, dude, like, shitloads of Marvel movies. Jurassic World. Wait, is the new Jurassic World? No, I think that's 2021. Yeah, I think that's 2021. So, yeah, there's nothing, dude. Like, Wonder Woman. That's right. There's a new Wonder Woman this year too. Yeah. So I mean, it's yeah. So I mean, I don't think that I don't remember if they've touched that yet, but I mean, it doesn't really make sense until we get to that point that they should touch that date, but. I really feel like we've kind of come to this kind of like, okay, let's breathe, let's see what was good and let's see what wasn't good. You know what I mean? Kind of thing. So, I mean, oh shit, I forgot. There's a new episode of Picard tonight. Speaking of streaming services. So, I mean, there's 2 more episodes of that, so I'll get to watch that. And then I'm going to cancel it.
Unfortunately, the way things, I've already seen it.
Yeah. Oh, how did you already see it? Oh, of course it is. But you know what I mean?
That's nerdy news. I've enjoyed this season. It's not what I expected, and I guess that's
it's not what I expected.
That's a good
either.
thing. Is it a bit all over the fucking place? Yes, it is absolutely all over the place.
Yes, it is.
But I've been watching because along with watching Picard, I for anyone who YouTube. The guys Red Letter Media, and they do the Half in the Bag show and stuff like that. The Red Letter Media, they do, they have such a great YouTube channel. And, their main guy, Mike Skolasko, whatever his name is a die-hard Star Trek fan. And he hates Picard. And I watched the whole episode of them today. I mean, they talked about episodes 6, 7, and 8. And the guy spent the whole hour just picking apart every fucking thing about the show and why they hate it. Now, don't be wrong. A lot of his gripes are totally legit. But I still like it. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to be a fucking sheep and say, because Mike doesn't like it,
What are his gripes?
It doesn't, it's not the Picard of the Next Generation. Where because in Picard, there's a lot of like, Picard, and he's a hothead, and this and this and that, and they try to play him off like he was like this hotshot person that was putting people's lives in risk every day, and from Next Generation, no, Picard was a diplomat, you know what I'm saying, and he was always the kind of person to think about things before he did them and stuff like that.
I think what's off-putting about it, and this is just one of my complaints, is that we're in the Star Trek universe. So you expect to be on like a Star Trek ship. Even in Discovery, there's a Star Trek ship that you're on, right? So you expect that, and you're like, okay, well, I should be seeing this. Well, you're not. You know what I mean? You're not on this ship. You're not, seeing anything that, you would normally see out of Star Trek. So you're kind of like, well, okay, what the fuck? But then, I like how different it is. I like how they're breaking kind of the Star Trek wall in a sense that these characters Like, for example, 7 of 9, you're not supposed to have her in a Next Generation series, but yes, guess what? Yeah. She's there. Awesome. Wonderful. I love it. And then you bring, like, other characters in, like, Hugh. I was so pissed that they killed him off, but spoilers, whatever. But you know what I mean? Like, it was just, like, that was awesome. I thought he did a really good job. Riker and Troy. That episode, dude, was really good. I liked that episode. That was my favorite episode of the season,
funny thing
honestly.
Is, the guys at Red Letter Meter said that was the worst. They're like, I don't want to spend an hour watching Riker cook a pizza. Which, but once again,
but he wasn't cooking a pizza the whole
time. I do honestly feel they feel that way, but it was kind of funny. You know what I'm saying? Like, like, it's something I like, and I'm not going to be a sheep and just totally accept all their opinions, but it's kind of funny to watch them bash it. But once again, I'm enjoying it, because if I didn't enjoy it, why would I keep coming back for a new episode?
I kind of feel like what they're doing is they're trying to take Picard in a different direction, so that way they can bring him back into the universe that he was in. Because I feel like, somehow, because here's something, and I don't know if you know this, being that I'm a huge Star Trek fan, I've been seeing different things online, and the one thing that I've seen, and that I didn't know about until I read about it, was that when Picard left the Enterprise E, and this is for anybody, and this isn't really spoilers because it isn't in the series, but you can find this in the books, Worf becomes the captain of the Enterprise. So what they were saying is that Worf is flying around on another Enterprise out there. It's probably not E, obviously, but it could be F. It could be something else. Who knows at this point? But the point that I'm trying to make is, here comes the Enterprise. I wouldn't be surprised if it shows up at the end of the season, or it somehow gets involved somehow. Obviously the Enterprise is going to be involved. Don't sit here and sell this too short, because that's going to happen. You're probably going to see Captain Janeway at some point. I really, really hope, and I don't know if they're going to do this, but I really, really hope they bring back, I can't think of what his real name is, but, Captain Sisko. I really hope, they bring him into this, because I think that would be great.
Well, if they're smart, they'll
I don't know if it's going to happen.
Season 2, they'll have Janeway in season 2, and, other.
Well, what's her name is supposed to be in season 2, Whoopi Goldberg.
Going to be back,
there's a rumor that the Doctor from Voyager is going to be in it at some point as well. I guess they're negotiating it right now, but I've heard that he's supposed to be in it, which would be awesome. I think that would be good, because if you think about it, anybody that's seen the series knows that Picard had, in the last episode of Next Generation, he has this disease that makes him hallucinate, and to your point, the grumpy old man get pissed off out of nowhere kind of thing. So I think that will play a part in it, because, he's the one, if you've ever seen Voyager, I don't know if you have, Chris, and I think this is why, it's interesting to see the Romulans being we're going to take Borg technology. He was the one that basically found out that you can use Borg technology for good purposes. So it's not assimilating you, but it goes into your body and does certain things to save you from diseases. So, that's one of those things where, we may see that happen, for example. And then there's, Geordi LaForge is out there somewhere, so we'll probably see him as well.
The big one I'm waiting for is fucking Q. That's I don't want it to be cheesy and anything like that. If you're gonna bring him in good. But come on, that's getting me a fucking lump in my pants.
I don't think that won't happen, but it's one of those things where it's I don't think they want to try to do that at first, because it was so overplayed in Generations. The Next Generation. Yeah. So
I'm kind of glad.
See, Chris, we're nerding out.
So
we're doing nerdy news
on the one show we can still watch.
But if I'm going to be honest, I think, and I don't know if you feel this way, and for people that are listening on there, I think some of you feel this way too. I think this is actually good, because now people can actually kind of catch up on these shows, because I'm going to be honest with you, there's way too much shit out there. Netflix has, they're not as bad anymore, because they don't have, regular shows anymore. They're focusing more on sci-fi, anime, which they're going to have to at this point, because, Disney's taking their stuff and putting it on their service. NBC Universal's taking their stuff and putting it on their service. Warner Media is taking all the Warner Brothers stuff and putting it on their service. So, you know what I'm saying? It's one of those things where you sit there and you go, okay then. Yeah, this is a great time to catch up on series that I've been wanting to watch. you gotta kind of take this with a grain of salt at this point. Yeah, if you don't have a job, that sucks. But let me put it to you this way: do you want to be in the hospital with double lung pneumonia, like I've heard that you can get with this coronavirus, on top of the flu symptoms? Like, no, I'm good. You can have your symptoms.
Well,
I'm like, I'm good.
Like they want to, like,
whatever.
You can't evict somebody. I'm kind of curious. Like, what
does that mean?
Because technically,
here's the
your
thing.
landlord to evict you, he has to go to court and get a court order. So, like, if a landlord, like, because right now, like, I'm having issues right now with my bath. Guys came and they fixed the floor in my bath because long story short, I think my landlord's getting ready to sell where I live to someone else. But that
he won't be doing that anytime soon.
Is they fixed the floor in my bathroom because I had tiles that looked like shit, and they fixed it. But now my tub is all jacked, and it's like,
well,
and so and the whole thing, I had a guy come here 2 fucking times and try to fix it, and it's still not where it's supposed to be. And I had basically said, if it's not done by the end of the month, I'm not paying my rent. And I've in the past, when I had like financial troubles in the past, like, I've been late on my rent, and like, fucking, this dude was quick to fucking get like a court order to take me to court. And it was sort of like, pay your rent or I'm taking you to court. So I'm wondering, like, in a situation like this where they're trying to push, like, what is the judge going to say? I'm not seeing any of these cases for eviction.
Well, so I think, like, for example, New York State just put in this thing for 90 days, no mortgage payments. In some cases, your mortgage payments will be canceled for the next 90 days. I think rent is coming next. I don't know what they're going to do, but I feel like that's what's coming next. It's going to come in one.
You have a 90-day window to pay them.
Well, no.
It's
well,
not like
I mean, in most cases, you'll have 90 days. Right. So you have 90 days to pay them, but there again, what I'm saying is in some cases they're going to cancel your those 3 months of mortgage payments. I think they may do that for rent too. I don't know that for sure though. I feel like that's coming next. I feel like in one way, fashion, or form, whether it's by the state or it's by the federal government doing it, it's coming. But it's just it's going to be interesting. And obviously we're probably coming to the end of the podcast because we really don't have too much to talk about. But I think what my message is to everybody, and granted, yes, I'm in a better position than some, is if you're out of a job, file for unemployment and wait. The federal government looks like right now, probably by the end of next week, we'll have some kind of bill in place that they're going to send us money. They're going to direct deposit money into our accounts, and we're going to have money. Okay. I don't know how that's going to work to direct deposit money into our accounts because, well, what if you're sending it to everybody that's under $75,000? Are we supposed to go to a website and put our direct deposit in? I don't know how that's supposed to work. That's going to be interesting. Why not just send a check? But whatever. So basically what I'm trying to say is just take a breather, get some streaming services, watch what you can. I personally suggest getting the whole Disney Plus package where you get like ESPN Plus, Disney Plus, and Hulu with commercials, but I can deal with commercials for $12.99. I think that's the best package out there, honestly. Just do it for now. I mean, what else do you have to do? Just relax. Go out when you need food. Stay in when you can't. Help your parents out if you can, and just try to be a good person. Maybe me and Chris can kind of do this a little bit more often. I mean, I'm not going to be working as much, so I have no problem doing more episodes if Chris wants to. I'm sure he'll be bored and be like, please, let's do some more.
Remember, my life hasn't changed at all.
That's true.
Very little of my life has been affected, and and not to make light of other people's situations. And of course, look, I work in I always have the idea where like I'm always worried, where my boss will fucking call me and say, look, or tell everybody like, look, things have slowed down to the point where we can't maintain,
I mean, honestly, Chris, it's going to be the same way with me. I mean, there may come a point if this goes for a long time that they may tell me, guess what? Sorry, you're shit out of luck. You know what I mean? And, I have to be prepared for that. I mean, I'll be honest with you, and, I'll say this on the podcast. My mom has like this life insurance policy she's had on me since God knows how long. I said to her, I was like, you need to call them and see if we can cash that out, because I don't want to be in the position where I don't have any money at some point. I mean, that's how serious this is. And I'm going to tell you something right now here. It's funny because I was going to start my 401k, and I resisted because I didn't want to pay in as much as they wanted me to pay in, which it wasn't that much, but every cent counts in my opinion. And this all of a sudden happened, and I saw how far the Dow went down. I went, glad I didn't do that.
Well, so let me just throw this out there, and I had put money into my where I work, when I work for the state, it was called deferred pay. If fuck with the number, I would say, because see, the number they give you is a suggested number. Just keep that. Of course, they're going to tell you, oh, you need to put 7% and all this other. Fuck that. They're saying 7% because they get to play with that as a suggestion. I would say start out at like 1, 2, 3, because when they take out the money for the 401k, they tax it after. So when you offset that tax, and I know that sounds, this is a fucking nerdy podcast, we're talking about this shit, but from my own personal experience, if you put in about 2 or 3% of your check, and of course there's people who say, oh, what are you, an idiot, put a lot more, if you're investing for your future. My point is, if you're worried about like check to check money, if you do about 2 or 3%, since less money is being taxed, there's less to tax, so they take less. So you're putting money in this account, and the money just magically, it doesn't affect you because your paycheck hasn't changed, but that money goes and sits somewhere, and then, then you live life to life, you live your life, and then, but the theory was, years later you use it. Unfortunately, with my divorce and all this other shit, I had to fucking, give that shit up. So, just throwing that out there. You could do, and fuck with the numbers, because sometimes because with me, when I had my basically 401k, if you change the amount they take out of your check, you had to wait like a month. So fuck with it every month. Jack it up to 4%. Check out 1%, 2%, 3%. Every month, put it up 1%. And if they give you fucking grief, say, fuck you, it's my money, I can do what the fuck I want. They suggest 7%. Or they suggest, I've heard people say 15%. Now, of course, if you had like a good partner and not whatever, or, you had like a rich family and shit like that, and you could afford to kind of like have other people supplement your income, absolutely, go right ahead, put 15%. But at 2 or 3%, you'll be living, and as a matter of fact, like when I did it, I was like taking home an extra like $20, but I was putting 3% away, and that over a course of years, and of course, but also don't get married, because people get married are fucking idiots. But but that's a whole other issue. I had to give up I had to dip into my 401k because of my divorce and all that other bullshit. But that's neither here or there. And especially that you're not married now, set up your 401k now. So that if you ever fucking get deluded enough to think getting married's a good idea, you'll have that 401k established way before you ever got married. But that's a little advice from your Uncle Chris, to everyone out there, not just you. All right, so let me see if I have anything else. Of course, there was the whole toilet paper. We'll get big into it. I'm just sort of quick shotting some of these. The whole toilet paper thing. People going nuts with the toilet paper. I saw a funny video where showing people going out and buying like 230 packs, and if you buy 230 packs and they say on average like a person uses 20 squares for toilet paper or whatever, and they're like, and they're like, man, there was a guy and it was a dad, it was a girl shooting a video because she was shooting her father, and her father did the math, and it's like, that's good for like 187 shits, of course, if you have a family of 3 or 4 people, that's a couple shits a day, but it's like, when the point is that, obviously for the next 2 weeks, everything's on lockdown, but if it's only for 2 weeks, you don't need 230 rolls of fucking toilet paper. How much is your family shitting? How big is your fucking family? And of course, I understand people panicking because they're worried about what if the trucks don't come with more toilet paper. But one, you could always go the route of, and I don't know if anybody's ever done this in the past, if you go into a public bathroom, you're in a fucking nasty or you're in a place that doesn't have toilet paper. One, you can wipe your ass with your sock. That's the long and short of it. If you're home, anyway, who cares if you wipe your ass with your sock? You could take that sock, you could throw it in a plastic bag, you could rinse it out.
God.
I'm just saying is like when we lived in a world, babies' diapers. Before the disposable diaper market, babies used to shit and cotton diapers, and people used to clean it out with their fucking hands. You rinse it out in the sink or whatever, and then you hang it up on the fucking line outside. I'm just saying is, you can get a good wipe with a sock. You get in there good with your fingers, get in a good fucking wipe, and then also, just clean out the sock. Have a couple socks dedicated. Don't use all your socks. Have a sock for each day. So you have 7 socks. The socks you don't like, the ones you can't find the matches for. And if you absolutely positively run out of toilet paper, use a sock for your ass, and then just rinse it. If anything, you're saving the planet because you're not throwing paper down the toilet. What's the other one? Also, you're home already anyway. Is there anything against the law? Okay, you do one good wipe, right?
Why are we talking about wiping?
I'm keeping it real with people. You do one solid wipe where you get all the shit out of your ass. Then you know what? Then you go take a bath. You go take a shower. and let the water do the rest. I'm just saying, if toilet paper is low, if things are that fucking, if things have gotten to that point, you know, use your
see people listening to this
your bare hands,
episode
scoop
and going,
the shit out of your ass, put it in the toilet.
What
and then
the hell is Chris
I'm saying,
talking
if you're already
about?
home anyway, who are you offending? Who are you offending if you're already home? Take a good scoop, get the three seashells from Demolition Man, clean out your asshole, and then go take a bath, go take a shower, and let the water do the rest. Let soap and water, you know, you should have plenty of soap.
This is what happens.
I'm just saying.
This is what happens when Chris doesn't have anything nerdy to talk about.
I'm just saying is, you know, I mean, people are making a big deal about toilet paper, but and don't get me wrong, it's a very nice convenience to have. But you can use you can use your sock, you can use a limited amount of toilet paper, get that initial wipe out of the way, and then just take a fucking shower afterward. You know, I mean, it's like a, you know, I mean, hopefully, you know, we haven't got to the point where we need like doomsday prepper shit, and you know, we're not, you know, we don't have guns and gangs aren't roaming the streets looking for toilet paper and fucking, you know, canned goods and shit like that. You know, just chill the fuck out. You know, keep your ass. You know, use the 3C. You know.
Hey, if you're here in Rochester, they now have plenty of toilet paper. Don't worry. Don't use the 3C shells.
I heard
But
I
anyways.
heard the Costco back. I mean, I don't have a Costco membership, but
Well, I mean, it's not as bad in Rochester because we don't have like several million people in the city. So, but I mean, honestly, like even Wegmans is getting better with stocking stuff because people aren't going as super crazy as they were supposed to. So, you know, one thing real quick now I'm saying that, like, I find it funny because my grandparents used to have like a shitload of soup and everything that would last for years and everything. And I sat there and I was like, why the fuck would you need all that stuff? Like, what the hell? And they were saving it for stuff like this.
Where,
like,
you might have shit like this may go down. And you know what? You know, as time, knock on wood, things slowly get back to quote unquote normal, you know, I'm gonna make sure I keep toilet paper in the house. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna I got canned goods here. Like, look, I'm not gonna fucking starve. I mean, I'm a fat fuck and shit like that, but you know, I got enough stuff here that if the shit really hit the fan, and not to the point where like people are roaming the streets or anything like that, but I mean, I have enough shit in cans where I'd be good for a, you know, I'm a person, I get my hands on things and I don't use them immediately and stuff like that, you know, and as long as my landlord doesn't kick, as long as the government keeps the landlord from kicking me out of my house, you know, and I already live in the ghetto, so I'm already used to people trying to steal everything you have anyway, so, you know, just keep your doors locked, you know, or, I mean, of course, you know, of course, yes, go out there, if you're gonna go outside, be nice, smile, you know, don't get next to people, but if you want to go for a walk, go for a walk. You see someone across the street, you want to smile and wave at them, go right ahead, smile and wave at them. Things are going to be all right. I mean, things are fucked up right now, but, you know, hopefully in time we'll get shit in order, and, you know, maybe the housing market will open up after all these old... I know I'm being horrible when I say that, but shit, we can't afford a house, so, you know, maybe this will bring the fucking cost of housing. Let's hope. All right, let's wrap this up. Let me see. Please visit twostrangersonePodcast.net or .com. You can find all things show related. You can find links to our iTunes page if you have an iPhone, an iPad, or iPod. Because right now, since everyone's home streaming shit anyway, you can stream 7 years. If this is like your first episode or your first couple of episodes, you can go back and listen to 7. And actually, shit, dude, I didn't even think about it. Our next episode, we're almost at 8 years. Next month will be we're 1 month shy, as a matter of fact, because today's the 19th as we're recording this. We're one month shy of 8 years worth of podcast. You can go back and listen to every single episode. Since you're at home doing nothing anyway, you can listen to the evolution of my life as it has been for the past 8 years. And Paul was there for, a good 7 of them. Let me see. So if you have iPhone, iPad, or iPod, you can subscribe to us on iTunes. If you have an Android device, you can follow us on Stitcher. That's STITCHER. The Stitcher app for Android devices. You can put it on Listen Later and available offline. Nowadays, I used to say I would listen later when I'm out and about. But I ain't going anywhere anymore. But if you happen to have to go out and about, you can put on Listen Later, available offline, so you download all the episodes while you're at home, listen to them while you're out and about, while you're in the car. If you're finally going for a hike, when you finally get enough cabin fever that before you fucking, kill your wife with an axe, you can say, hey, let me go for a walk before someone dies. And you can put on your headphones and plug it into your phone and listen, and without killing your battery or without killing your data plan, If you want to write to us, you can write to us at twostrangersonepodcast@gmail.com, all spelled out. twostrangersonepodcast@gmail.com. We want your money. We need your money. And maybe with this time I do have in my hands, we could set up a Patreon, and stuff like that. So you can, but until then, we want your money. We need your money, but feel free to share this episode, share our Facebook page, everything on facebook.com/twostrangersonepodcast. Once again, all spelled out. Let me see. You can follow us on Twitter @Stranger Podcast. Oh, and I forgot. I had mentioned Stitcher and iTunes. You could also go right to the source. Our main hosting app is SoundCloud. I make the episodes available for download there. So if you want to go the little bit more of a non-traditional route, and find all our episodes there. Not all our episodes. The past 2 or 3 years episodes are on SoundCloud. Anything before that, you can go and find us on YouTube. Just go on YouTube, search for Two Strangers One Podcast, and you can find all the episodes you won't find on SoundCloud. You can find my audiobook, Odd I See a Tale from the Road. You can find my Stranger vlogs. I've put 2 or 3 albums worth of music on there under my music pseudonym XLNYC. Also on twostrangerspodcast.com.net, you can there's a link. You're sitting at home anyway. You can buy my book, Double Jackpot. There's links for that are on the page, and I think I exhausted everything I need to say. I acquiesced.
All right. Well, you can find me on Twitter @Paul Pascrillo. Like he said, you can hear me on the Toonami Faithful podcast.
That's right. Yeah, Paul's other baby. I'm sorry, I should have mentioned that.
You can find me everywhere. You can find that podcast actually everywhere now. So, including Spotify. Is Two Strangers on Spotify now or no?
Let me double check. I think we set it up before the last episode, and I have never followed up. I'm looking it up right now.
I don't see it on there, so
I'll have to go back.
You'll have to go back and do it.
I'll look into that. So we're not on Spotify.
We're working on it. But yeah, I mean, you can find me there. You can find me on that podcast. ToonamiFaithful.com is my website, so please go go there as well if you're into the Toonami and anime and whatever else. We do other things too. Sometimes I get Chris to write things when he's, actually doing stuff, and Chris actually has some more interviews coming at some point, but we'll see when that happens. And I think you can also email me, Paul Pascrillo @ToonamiFaithful.com. Oscar's done that, so you guys can do that as well. And that's about it. I just want to again just say, stay calm out there. Listen to what people are asking you to do in the government. Stay home if you can, and just chill for now. It'll all get better eventually. We just need to let things go the way that they're going to go. So, all right.
I certainly hope you guys enjoyed listening, had as much fun as we did recording. Thank you for listening to Two Strangers One Podcast. I'm Chris. Don't be a stranger.
Paul. Peace.
Bye. While you're at home, you should be vapping. And, don't be a stranger, but don't get fucking too close. Stay about 6 feet away.
Oh, my God. And wipe with 3 seashells.
Oh, my God. All right, here we go, man. Go ahead. You want to read
Double Jackpot.
What is it?
It is a self-published book by Christopher Cologne.
Chris Cologne? Smells good to me.
But
look at her. That broke that fucking cold little exterior. He's like, hee.
But it is spelled COLON.
Him punny.
But Double Jackpot is a book about a comic book artist, Eric, who is in a loveless relationship with the materialistic
I feel you, Eric.
Lynette.
Fucking, are you sure I didn't write this? Sounds hauntingly familiar.
He starts cheating on his girlfriend with a more creatively supportive woman, Nadia.
Well, I gotta meet her. Where's the Nadia?
There's your summer girlfriend.
Summer Nadia is Nadia.
Nadia?
Yeah, I think Nadia is spelled with an A.
All right.
Both Lynette and Nadia play the double jackpot, the largest payout in lotto history, much like the recent Powerball. Both girls play his birth date as the winning numbers. Eric is now stuck between two of the country's richest women. Who will he choose? It's not that simple. This is a clever fucking idea, man.
Is.
Look at her, fucking, she's impressed.
I am.
She got some summer reading. Christopher Cologne smells real lovely with an original idea. This is. I've never heard this before.
I haven't either. This is a self-published book, much in the indie spirit as Kev's Clerks.
Oh, you don't even need to name check me. This is just a good idea. You could stand on your own, man. You don't even have to be like, hey, remember Clerks? This is nothing like that. This is way more original than Clerks. This is a good idea, man. Why didn't I think of this?
I need something to read. This book is part of the Comic Books, Heavy Metal, Video Games Trilogy Book 2. Odd I See, A Tale from the Road, coming soon.
Right on, man. It's part of a trilogy. This is the first part.
Way to write, man.
He's seeking a literary agent. Motherfuckers, anybody out there? There ain't no literary agents listening to this show, I assure you, sure. Sure. I assure you, sure. But somebody know a literary agent? Hook a motherfucker up! Chris Cologne come up with an original idea. I should tell Raskin, that's a good fucking idea, to be honest with you. That's a fucking rom-com right there. Megan, get Raskin on the phone. Isn't it possible to get Raskin on the phone? No?
Yeah.
I want to run it past him, man. I want to, and if it happens, I get a taste, Chris Cologne. I get a whiff, if you will.
The book could also be ordered on www.lulu.com.
That's lulu.com.
I understand that. I just want to spell it out.
Normally one says it, that spells it. Still, lulu.com. What is that? Do you know what it is?
I don't know. All right. The book could also be ordered on www.lulu.com. Search for Double Jackpot Christopher Cologne. A paperback version of the book is $15, and a PDF file is only $5.
$5 is
Yeah.
insanely inexpensive. 15's not even that bad for a paperback version.
No.
This is $1 million idea right here. Like a movie about a dude who fucking is stuck between two chicks, both of who play his birthday and win the lottery. Come on! I can see that trailer. Chris Cologne is on to something. Nobody else can smell it but me.
I'll read it.
Thank you. I'm going to make that smelly joke.
I know. You're trying to get me to laugh again.
It worked once. Double Jackpot is a self-published book by Chris Cologne, man. It's the first book in his Comic Books, Heavy Metal, Video Games trilogy. Book 2, Odd I See, A Tale from the Road, should be coming out soon. Get all the information at Chris Cologne, like a motherfucker.
I will
his
totally
book,
read this.
Double Jackpot. I'm serious. I'm going to recommend that to fucking Raskin. How is that not a movie? You know what I'm saying? This could be a sexy movie. You could do an R-rated version. There could be nudie in it, and you could show them fucking both chicks. Maybe a little penetration. Maybe a butthole shot. No butthole, no care.
I would like to formally apologize to Christopher Cologne right now.
No, sex sells. Chris Cologne will appreciate that. He's like, thanks for throwing a few buttholes in there, man.
Don't forget to check out twostrangersonepodcast.net, your one-stop resource for everything show-related. You can find links to subscribe to us on iTunes or on Stitcher. You could also find links to buy my book, Double Jackpot, on twostrangersonepodcast.net.
Fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. You're cool. And fuck you, I'm out.